Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Celtic striker Leigh Griffiths believes his partnership with Moussa Dembele is looking good ahead of that Champions League playoff clash against Hapoel Beersheva tomorrow night. Rangers manager Mark Warburton is closing in on 2 transfer targets. One of them might be a surprise in the centre of defence. And we'll also look at how long it will take before referees get to use video evidence to help them make the big decisions. That's just a few of the talking points. Alongside my partner in crime, it is Alan Ruff alongside me tonight to talk about all things Champions League. This playoff is massive. Brendan Rodgers speaking earlier today, talking about the need maybe to keep that clean sheet, get the goals and, put themselves in a good position ahead of the second leg next Tuesday.
Yeah, I think the clean sheet is the important one. I think we saw the importance of it in the last game when it was 1-0 and then Leigh Griffiths come up with that goal. It was late on in the game and the importance of that goal going into the second leg gave them something to build on. They wouldn't want to go away from home, obviously having the same circumstances happening to them. So it's important, couple of goals, with nothing conceded, to go into the game. And we know that they can in that circumstances, we know they have the ability to go away from home and see it out, but they really need something to take with them.
Do you think they're in good shape ahead of this game, Ruffy?
I think they're getting there. Obviously, the boy Sinclair adds a bit of pace that remains to be seen. He'll probably play in one of the wide places. I don't know about Roberts, if he's 100% or he's completely out of the game. But certainly he's a bit of brightness. We saw against Hearts, that he's got the pace to trouble other teams. Toure obviously coming back in there, has all the experience in the world. That's why if they go away from home, they'll have somebody like him to sort of just calm the nerves a wee bit.
Yeah, and Zviachenko's got a chance of coming back into the starting lineup. That would be a huge bonus, just to have people who understand that position rather than looking for somebody to get into it who's maybe not playing it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and I think that would be the ideal partnership. I think when he was playing, he was solid in there. He's not the biggest of centre halves, but he's good at distributing the ball. He's very competent. He's calm on the ball. Brings people into the game from the back, as Toure does as well. So that would be the complete partnership, But whether they're going to risk him in the first game, who's to say? But the second game, certainly, yeah.
And does Sinclair ease the pain of the loss of Patrick Roberts?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah, I think he's more direct. He's got a wee bit more pace. We all know the wee boy Roberts has got fantastic ability, but I always find that as the season goes on, he's all left-sided. He comes in by one, by another. I think defenders will catch on to that, but certainly he can come up with something special, but I think Sinclair can also do that as well.
Yep, I'm going to talk about Hapoel Beersheva in a moment, Ruffy, but getting goals is the key to all this. Leigh Griffiths, speaking earlier today at the press conference, mentioned the fact that he's starting to get an understanding. They're starting to develop together, both himself and Moussa Dembele.
Yeah, well, I have to admit and hold my hands up, I thought Leigh Griffiths was a bit off the pace in European football. He's proved me wrong just by that game. He's beginning to, if he has to play that one man up front, he's beginning to appreciate what you've got to do, and he has that knack, because as we saw in the European football, strikers don't get many chances in games, and he proved it in the away game in the last time, that given a chance he'll take it, and that is a good sign of improvement, and I'm sure Celtic will be relying on him very heavily tomorrow night.
And just one little footnote, when you look at that midfield area, Nir Bitton certainly made an impression in the last round. He's fit, but maybe not match fit. He might have some part to play in it.
Yeah, well, I think we've always discussed it, centre of midfield. Scott Brown will do what Scott Brown does, and particularly in European games, they'll single out a danger man probably on their side, and Scott will do what he always does, make sure that he doesn't play to the best of his abilities. It's the person who goes beside him, and you've said Bitton, correct. Bitton, I always think in European football, has that style of play that suits it, just holding on to the ball, just bringing people in whenever, and you're right, when he came on in the last game away from home, you would say that he turned the game and helped Celtic get a draw in that one.
And I'll hold my hands up, Ruffy, if you were to ask me, do I know anything about all their individual players at Hapoel Beersheva? The answer would be, like many people, emphatically no. But one thing that they have managed to do is break the stranglehold in Israeli football. They've won their first title in 40 years. They knocked out Olympiacos So again, they will have players who can trouble Celtic, and this is not a game where you could suddenly say one team's a favourite and the other team's a favourite.
No, but they certainly have been talking themselves up. You know, a lot of the players have had something to say. You know, they believe that they are a team who are going to move on in European football. That's up to Celtic to stop that. You know, I don't think a lot of them will have experienced the atmosphere it's going to be at Celtic Park tomorrow night. That might be a good start for Celtic. But I think it's all about Celtic. It's all about Celtic first 15, 20 minutes, putting them under pressure. Obviously the crowd, you know, wanting them to go forward, wanting them to create chances. But we've seen it so many times in European football that sometimes it just doesn't happen for you right away. You've got to be patient and wait for it. But I think if Celtic were to get the first goal, I think second one would be easier to sort of for the fans to handle, to sort of hang on and just wait for it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that was Brendan Rodgers talking after the last European game, just saying that the Celtic fans need to show a bit of patience. Do you think they're in a better position? They've been in this position twice before and failed at that final hurdle. Do you think they're in a better position now to keep that back door locked? I still think that's the area, you know, where Celtic fans are not fully convinced they can keep the back door locked.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. You know, obviously it is the case, you know, but I think if you got the two centre-halves back, I would think you would see a better Craig Gordon. You know, he wouldn't be coming for crosses that he doesn't have to, because the defence would be, the two centre defenders would be doing what they should be doing.
Do you think he's under pressure? But you always highlight him there. Do you think
I don't. I think it's the people in front of him that's taken away from how good a goalkeeper he is, because he's trying to cover for the two centre-halves in front of him who are not doing their job properly, and he's getting caught out. The episode in the last game, coming out and heading the ball, that's a good sign. He's reading the game. You know, he's unfortunately, he went to the wrong person and the boy hit a good. So I wouldn't hold that against him either. Craig Gordon will make the saves, and particularly in European football, he'll make the winning saves as well.
Yep. Okay. Prediction?
2-0. I think it's 2-0. And again, you know, I wouldn't like to see them getting a goal.
Okay. Give us your thoughts on that at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. We'll be reading out a few of your predictions as well. Let's look then, Ruffy, to Rangers. A couple of transfer targets. One of them might be a surprise to you, but obviously Joe Garner's got a decision to make now. It looks as if it's all moving in the right direction to get the 28-year-old striker in there, which would be a bonus. The second part of it is Philip Senderos is training there, but there looks as if there's maybe some interest in getting Joleon Lescott in as the central defensive target. Now, that, I think, would be a major coup for Rangers.
Yeah, I think Lescott would be a fabulous signing. Obviously, I was reading that he doesn't train. You know, he just plays. You know, because at the stage of his career, he picks up a lot of injuries. He has an arrangement with the club that he was with, you know, just to take it easy, watch what he's doing, but he's got all the experience in the world. I think the other guy is obviously prone to injuries, what I'm reading in the newspapers. But I think the encouraging thing for the Rangers supporters are Rangers look as if they're actually spending hard cash. Now, if we're talking $1.5 million plus add-ons, that means there is money there to buy, and I think that will be the encouraging thing for the Rangers supporters. Yeah,
Lescott won't be on, a small amount of money. That would really be a clear sign of intent, I think. I mean, if I was looking and thinking, do you want Senderos or Lescott, based on the fact that if they were going to regularly play, you would take Lescott all day long, but it'll be on a few quid.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the way Rangers are focusing how they're spending. You know, it seems to be wages rather than spending $1.5 million, but they are going to do it for the striker, which means there is money in the kitty. And I'm sure, as I've just repeated myself saying, Rangers supporters will love players coming in. Every supporter loves seeing new players, and I think if he was to get 2 of that 3, I think that would be them complete. Yeah,
and does that alter, do you think that will alter not only yourself, but other people's opinion on, you know, whether they're going to finish second, third or fourth? Does that really up the ante, as it were?
I think it obviously ups the ante. They're better quality players than what Rangers have had. You know, it just depends for me on the 38 games, you know, the consistency level, if they can keep it. There's a lot of players there who are 31, 34, 35, 37, you know, I know they're all physically fit just now, but we just have to wait and see. But they are a better side, and I think it's Aberdeen and Hearts that are the two teams that will have to keep their eye on Rangers.
Yeah, and you mentioned there the ages of them. That would require a long-term fix elsewhere, but short-term you can see where Mark Warburton's ambition lay.
Yeah, it's this season. You know, the demands in this season, you know, but not particularly from the board, but from the supporters. The Old Firm supporters want success immediately.
OK, you can join us after the break. We're going to talk Hibs and Hearts, as well as look at all those Champions League playoff ties tomorrow night, coming up in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show, and Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. The main talking points and the main headline tonight, Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers reckons they're in good shape. It's a massive game against Hapoel Beersheva, and he's mentioned he'd love nothing more than to replicate some of the great nights that Neil Lennon had as Celtic manager. And Mark Warburton closing in on 2 transfer targets, one of them of course a striker, Joe Garner, but will he opt for Philip Senderos or Joleon Lescott, the former Manchester City, Aston Villa and Everton central defender, a name that's just come out of left field in the mix for Rangers transfer targets. Also on the programme tonight, we'll look ahead to the other matches in that Champions League, and we're going to look at video evidence that is gathering pace across the globe, how soon before it comes into effect in Scotland and of course in the wider area of Great Britain and Europe. So just let's take a quick look, Ruffy, at the Champions League playoff matches that are taking place tomorrow night, as well as Celtic against Hapoel Beersheva. It just shows you some of the clubs now that are forced to play playoff matches to try and get into the group stage proper. I wouldn't like to be calling the Porto-Roma game, that's for sure.
No, it's a difficult one. 2 quality sides with bags of European experience. Liga Warsaw still there. You know, I think Celtic know all about them. But I think it'd be nice to see Dundalk getting something out of that one.
Yeah, absolutely. What, like a substitute coming on for Legia that shouldn't be there?
I can just a thought. I can see the Dundalk secretary through all the sheets of paper, just waiting to see who comes on the park.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, that's the games tomorrow night we'll be keeping our eye on, as well as Celtic against Hapoel, which I'll be going out there to have a look to see how they're going to fare in that match, Ruffy. Some other things that have caught my eye over the last 24 hours, of course, it looks as if Hibs are getting ever closer to getting a loan move for Andrew Shinnie. That would be, I think that would be superb, obviously, because it looks as if the door's closed on Liam Henderson.
Yes, and the boy Shimmy was on the verges of a Scotland call-up. Obviously picked up a couple of injuries, but I think we all know that he's got quality, and obviously had the quality when he got the move down to England, but I think things haven't worked out for him. I think he just needs to get back playing. I think the club is what I've said, that he's not going to be in their team, so he's got to say to himself, look, I'll take a year out, go to Hibs in front of a really good crowd at the weekend, 16,000. It's a lovely stadium to play in, and maybe he should use it the same way Liam Henderson has done, because Liam now seems to be back on, not fully back on board with Celtic, but at least he knows who they are now.
Yeah, the other aspect of this is Neil Lennon, that smooth transition between the footballer we're playing under Alan Stubbs to what Neil Lennon wants them to play, that type of player, Shinnie, when he was at Inverness. You know, he could pick a pass as well. Obviously, the injuries might have curtailed him in his energy, but you know, in regular football. But nevertheless, he could pick a pass, and it would be that similar style that they're looking for. Yeah,
it's another little McGear, you know, in there. You know, they've all got pace. They all like to go forward. They all can get goals as well. It just seemed to be a style of play that Neil's taken on from Alan Stubbs. You know, I think they've varied much from that. I think Neil would just like them to be a wee bit more solid at the back and not lose that game, you know, where they're just gathering momentum and then they lose a goal and it puts them on the back. You know, I think he would try and cut that out and try and get some more goals.
OK, across the city, on the west of the city, Ruffy, as you and me know only too well, Hearts manager Robbie Neilson has been just highlighting to everyone that Tony Watt, the goals will come. Obviously, he wants to get as many games as possible. Played his first 90 minutes, completed a match in almost 7 months at the weekend. So clearly, once he gets a bit of match fitness, I think he shows great signs of being a real star for Hearts.
Yeah, I was going to say that last night. You know, I only saw the highlights of the game against Aberdeen, but he certainly had one chance at the end where he obviously fell back a bit and the ball went over. But in between times, he showed pace, he showed a great touch, you know, and I think defenders, once, as you say, he's fully fit, will find him a handful. And I agree with you, I think he'll get goals as well.
It's funny, actually, as one man starts to become more prominent, you suddenly start to look at some of the fringe players. You know, already there's been a little bit of speculation that Dundee could be looking at Juanma.
Yeah, well, look, I think they know what he can do. You know, Paul has to do something. You know, to lose your two best players is a massive blow. So the supporters, like any other supporters, will be looking anxiously at Paul to see what he's going to do, you know, because obviously they're short at this moment in time, and he'll be hoping he can get somebody in.
Okay, if you're a manager, more often than not, they'll tell you they want to avoid injuries, Ruffy. That's the worst thing that can happen, and it never rains but it pours for Richie Foran up at Inverness. Looks as if Kevin McNaughton could be on the sidelines for quite a while with an Achilles injury.
That's a shame, you know. Obviously he's taken a gamble to come up here. You know, he's had he's a fair age now. You know, he's been fantastic at every club he's been at down in England, and obviously he's decided to come back home. But it's a bad injury that, you know, to pick up. I'm sure that the manager would have hoped that he would be one of the main starts on that side, but obviously that injury's going to curtail that.
Yeah, mate, he feels mightily old now after you suggesting
I think
to him.
just his hair, his hair just seems to get greyer and greyer.
His hair was grey when he was 20.
Yeah,
he's always had that look, Ruffy.
Yeah, but obviously he's a good player, so he'll be sadly missed.
Yep, okay. An article that caught my eye, Ruffy, which I think, you know, is just delaying the inevitable, was from an American soccer match. Did you read this article?
I saw it.
Yeah.
No, you go with the article, and I'll tell you what I saw.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
What, is that on the basis that you only looked at the pictures?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's the first to use video technology to help a referee, and as I was reading it, I was looking at it, thinking to myself, well, you know, the big decisions. You know, they've used it in I think the second tier of the MLS. But nevertheless, you know, I think it will gather pace. I think everybody knows that sooner or later we are going to succumb to, you know, a 30-second clip making the big decisions.
Well, I actually saw the incident on I don't know where I saw it, but it was an incident in one of the games where the attacker was going into the box. He was filled at the edge of the box, and while everybody was sort of complaining, is it inside, is it outside?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, the referee went behind the goal, and somebody was standing with a 52-inch television. I'm serious, he was standing with a 52, and he just showed the referee, this is what happened. And the referee sent the boy off and gave a penalty.
Yeah.
Just by looking at what the evidence that was on the television, just behind the goals.
Red cards, goals, penalties and mistaken identities. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always been a fan of video evidence. In the top flight games where there is so much at stake, I think it's an absolute shoo-in.
Yeah, I think it's taken far too long to come in. You know, there's been far too many big occasions, and if you look at managers and everybody, all they want to do is get the big decisions right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for us, we've had 2 or 3 in cup finals. But for me, the biggest one of the lot was the Irish one over in France.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been cleared up in a minute. And that's what we want cleared up.
Yeah, some people say the biggest one had to be the World Cup final of 1966, Ruffy.
Yeah.
You know, you always look back and think about decisions and what decision you would love to have had cleared up had the technology been there at the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted the technology in '78 with Joe Jordan. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to see any of that at all. Let's just move on for '78. Let's bring it out in '79.
Yeah, for the benefit of any youngster who's wondering what Ruffy's talking about, is it, of course, Joe Jordan throwing his hand up at Anfield to get a penalty? Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, but in all fairness to Joe, I don't think he's ever come out and said he consciously went up to punch the ball. It was the Welsh boy's hand that went up first.
Did he say, I never consciously went up to punch the ball, or I never punched the ball? There's a difference there, Ruffy.
No, he's actually never said anything, to tell you the truth.
Because if he's done an autobiography, I certainly haven't read him.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't
no.
said it was. I still think to this day that he didn't think he touched. I think he thinks that it was a Welsh boy.
Would you bring out anything else on the video, or is that the definitive for you? And were you a fan of using video evidence before, or did you have to be convinced by other people?
No. I've always been, and I've always been for video evidence for the referee's sake.
Yes.
But the referees weren't 100% for it. And I spoke to some referees and they weren't. But I now think they are, and I think it can only help them. And we saw in the last couple of weeks there instances of when that video evidence would have helped them for getting slaughtered.
Why don't you give us your thoughts on video evidence brought into our game here in Scotland? Do you agree with it? At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. That's just about it for the show tonight. Join us tomorrow. We'll continue the build-up to Celtic against Hapoel Beersheva. We'll also look back at the Iron Brew Cup, at the results, and analyse some of the teams who've produced some good performances on the night. 7 o'clock, STV Edinburgh, STV Glasgow. That's where you can join us. There's also the repeat at 11 as well. From Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching. Good night.